Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we connect the dots on Wall Street. And I have a feeling today we're going to be talking about a company that might just be playing a little game of hide and seek with its financials. Stick around. Today we're diving into a report from Quoin Pharmaceuticals Limited. This isn't your typical quarterly update, it's an 8K filing, which usually means something pretty significant has happened or they're announcing important results. Think of it like a company's breaking news alert. Quoin Pharmaceuticals, a company you might know or might not know, has just dropped some news about their financial performance for the second quarter. This filing is all about keeping investors and the public informed about what's going on as required by law. It's like the SEC's way of saying, tell us what's up, and companies like Quoin saying, okay, here's the scoop. The key date here is August 7th, 2025. That's when the main event, the announcement of their second quarter financial results, happened. Now, Quoin Pharmaceuticals is based all the way in Israel, but they're clearly playing on the global stage, especially with their presence on a major US stock exchange. This number, 001-37846, is their commission file number. It's like their social security number for the SEC, making sure everyone knows which company is which. And this one, 9225933104, that's their IRS employee identification number. So Uncle Sam knows who they are too. While we don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of their exact mailing address, it's important to remember that even with international operations, they have a US footprint, which is why they're filing these reports with the SEC. They've also provided a US phone number for inquiries, but again, we're not here for customer service, we're here for the financial story. This section about a former name or former address being changed is marked as not applicable, meaning no significant changes on that front for this report. Now, you'll see a few checkboxes here, and these are for different types of communications a company might send out. Quoin is sticking to the script of this 8K report and hasn't checked any of these. Let's talk about what's actually being traded on the stock market. They have American Depository Shares, or ADSs, and each one of these represents not just one, but 35 ordinary shares of the company. Think of it as a bundle deal for US investors. The ticker symbol for these ADSs is QNRX, so if you're looking them up on your trading app, that's the code. And where can you find them? They're listed on the Nasdaq Stock Market LLC. That's a pretty major exchange, so it tells you they're a company aiming for significant visibility. They also have ordinary shares, but these aren't directly traded on the exchange in the same way the ADSs are. This asterisk clarifies that these ordinary shares are really just there to support the ADSs and meet regulatory requirements. The report also asks if Quoin is an emerging growth company. This is a designation for newer companies that get some flexibility on reporting rules. They haven't checked this box, meaning they're likely past that initial phase or don't qualify. And since they're not marking themselves as an emerging growth company, this next question about delaying new accounting standards doesn't apply. They're going to follow the latest rules. Alright, this is the core of the filing, the results of operations and financial condition, essentially the money part. This confirms what we already knew. They announced their second quarter earnings on August 7th, and the crucial piece of information they're providing here is that a press release with all the juicy financial details is attached as Exhibit 99.1. Everything we're about to see, in essence, comes from that press release, which is a common way for companies to distribute this kind of news. This is a really important disclaimer. Companies often add this to say, hey, we're telling you this, but it's not officially part of our filed reports in a way that makes us liable if it's slightly off and it's not being added to our more comprehensive filings. It's a way to present information without taking on the full legal weight of a formal filing amendment. Think of it as, we're sharing this, but not too much. This section is basically the table of contents for the documents attached to this report. Here's what they formally submitted with this 8K. Exhibit 99.1 is the press release itself. This is where all the numbers and the story behind those numbers would be. And Exhibit 104 is something called a cover page interactive data file. This means the core information from the report, like the financial numbers and company details, is presented in a machine-readable format, making it easier for analysis. It's like a digital summary for computers. The date clearly shows the report was finalized and submitted on August 7th, aligning with the announcement date. And who is signing off on this report? None other than Dr. Michael Myers, who holds the title of Chief Executive Officer. So the CEO himself is putting his name on this. This signifies that the information presented has the highest level of executive approval. So now let's imagine we've opened up that Exhibit 99.1 press release. While the 8K itself doesn't contain the financial tables directly, it points us to them. Based on typical filings, we'd be looking for key figures that tell us about Quoin's business health. For instance, we'd scan for revenue, which is the total money a company makes from selling its products or services. A consistent increase in revenue is usually a good sign of growth. We'd also be scrutinizing their cost of goods sold, which are the direct costs of producing their products. A gap between revenue and cost of goods sold gives us their gross profit. If the cost of goods sold is rising faster than revenue, that would be a red flag, potentially eating into their profits. Then there's operating expenses, which include things like research and development, selling, general and administrative costs. If these are soaring without a corresponding uptick in revenue, it could signal that the company is spending a lot of money without a clear return. We'd look for net income, often called the bottom line. This is what's left after all expenses, taxes and interest are paid. Positive and growing net income is the ultimate goal for most businesses. Also critical are cash flow statements. This tells us how much cash is actually coming in and going out of the business. A company can be profitable on paper, but still have cash flow from operations is vital for day-to-day business. And importantly, we'd examine the balance sheet. This is a snapshot of what the company owns assets, what it owes liabilities, and the owner's stake equity at a specific point in time. High levels of debt, for example, could make a company vulnerable in tough economic times. Without the actual numbers from Exhibit 99.1, I can't give specific percentages or dollar amounts. However, if Quoin's second quarter results show, for example, a 15% increase in revenue year over year, that would suggest they are successfully selling more of their pharmaceutical products. But if their research and development expenses also jumped by 30% without a clear explanation of new drug breakthroughs or pipeline advancements, that would raise questions about their spending efficiency. If their net income dropped by 10%, that means for every dollar they earned last year, they're now earning 9 cents less this year. This could be due to increased competition, pricing pressures, or higher operating costs. Looking at this filing, the real story is in that attached press release. The 8K is just the cover letter. What Quoin Pharmaceuticals announced on August 7th, 2025, and how those numbers stack up against previous quarters are what truly matter for investors trying to understand the company's trajectory. Are they growing? Are they profitable? Can they manage their expenses effectively? These are the questions we'd be answering with the data from Exhibits announced on August 7, 2025, and how those numbers stack up against previous quarters are what truly matter for investors trying to understand the company's trajectory. Are they growing? Are they profitable? Can they manage their expenses effectively? Now, looking at these results more broadly, without the actual numbers, it's hard to give a definitive thumbs up or down. However, the fact that they are making these announcements and filing these reports shows a commitment to transparency. The critical part is to compare these announced results to market expectations. Did they beat estimates? Did they miss them? That's what often moves the stock price and tells us if the market is happy with their performance. The key risk for any pharmaceutical company is the success or failure of its drug pipeline. If they're relying heavily on one or two drugs and those face challenges, the company's future can look very uncertain. Conversely, a strong pipeline of promising new treatments can signal significant future growth. Alright, that's our quick decode of this Quoin Pharmaceuticals 8K. If you found value in breaking down this filing, please hit that like button and subscribe for more corporate insights. And hey, if you want to join a community that loves digging into these numbers, our Discord server link is in the description below. We'd love to have you. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next decode.